Hi everyone. I actually thought that I'll be here to inspire people and motivate them, but actually I ended up realizing that I have so much more to learn instead. You guys are way ahead of me and I'm just like at the budding steps here. So I hope I'm able to still inspire you towards the last part of this segment. Alright, so my name is Baizura, and you can call me Noor for short. I'm a mental health advocate and a board member at Club Heal. But this is a quite recent build-up. Before that, I was actually spending a lot of time in hospital as a mental patient. So growing up, my family was my strongest support, and I was always a problem child. When I say I'm a problem child, right, I didn't intentionally try to get in trouble. I didn't try to seek attention, but it was just my nature to be very curious about things. And I was always asking a lot of questions. So my mom would be answering all my questions patiently, and all her friends will start to feel like, oh my God, can you control your child? She's like talking so much, you know. So besides the sleepwalking, ADHD, and violent symptoms, I added this section which is too talkative for anyone to tahan. That was my primary diagnosis until I figured out that I actually had some diagnosis of bipolar disorder. So what happened was I realized that I always felt more for things which everyone else would feel like, okay, I feel sad, something happened. I cry a little, I get over it. No, for me, I'll ponder about it, I'll go into depth about it, I'll start writing long poetry, sad stories, I have a whole lot of diaries. Then every time when my parents want to do spring cleaning, I will hold on to these diaries like, oh no, this is like things that I'm writing about my whole life, you cannot just throw it away. So I'll get very attached to things and I'll start hoard things. Every single artwork that I do, I'll keep it. There was one day, that's me as a child, there was one day that my friend drew a picture of Simba, you know, Lion King, when it was quite popular. And then after that, I came home, and in the excitement of saying that my friend drew it for me, I told my dad that I drew it. And immediately he was like, oh, this girl is telling lies. So he takes a piece of paper, pencil, eraser, and a sharpener in case I need my pencil to be very sharp so I can draw accurately. And all that I could master when he said draw was I ended up drawing something like a stick insect pirate on a boat. It was nothing close to Simba and Nala at all. And what he did was he scolded me, and I felt so humiliated. And after that, there was a lot of other people around, relatives and such. And I was very angry. I felt like, hey, why are you insulting me like that? You want to scold me? Okay, like in private, in the room or whatever. You want to whack my hand? Okay, I'm done. But why did you put me through that? So every time I was being disciplined, it was always in front of an audience, I started to become a little bit of a rebel. So my dad had this relationship with me, which was reverse psychology. I mean, I love my dad a lot, but unfortunately, he was raised in an even more difficult environment. His dad was a PSA worker, and he has to work very early in the morning, and then all his 6 sons will be sleeping. And this is how my dad would share about his dad. He said, my granddad was, he was very tired, and he had to wake up and go to work. So what he ends up doing is he will actually, you know the boys, they tend to sleep without their shirt on their back, right? So my granddad would actually pick up my dad by the skin on his back and throw them away, like, move out of my way, you know, I need to get ready for work. And that was how he grew up. So in a very rash environment, right, he became very aggressive. But I wasn't able to appreciate that because on my mom's side of the family, they tend to always encourage us to talk things out, to express ourselves, to be creative, to talk and to, you know, learn by sharing and speaking. Okay, so what happened was every time that they wanted to teach me something, my dad will take me, throw me into the swimming pool. Nah, that's how you learn how to swim. So I drowned and struggled and all. Then I realized that, hey, why is he always teaching me in this way, you know? But he always constantly made me angry, and I constantly always end up proving him wrong. I always became a lot better, you know? When I was young, I always had you have to get your parents to sign your report card, right? So I have to wait early in the morning at 5 a.m., go to my parents' door, everything's dark, sneak open the bedroom door, make sure the sound of the click, no sound at all, slowly open, crawl to my mother's side of the bed, and ask her to sign my report book in the dark. And my result was 97 upon 100, 98 upon 100, because for that 2 marks that I didn't get correct, my dad can sit down and lecture me for hours. So in this environment, because he had this mentality that if the head is right, the tail will follow. So unfortunately, I was born first. So I was always being so even though I was top at school, top in studies, top in sports, top in art, top in whatever it wasn't sufficient. Oh, in the end, I ended up drawing really well, and it was quite a joy to see that whenever he had guests, what he will do is he will actually say, Baizura, take out your sketchbook, and then he'll show, you see, my daughter draw capsicum, you see, she draw banana, you see, she draw chocolate, you know. So sometimes we cannot appreciate it as we are growing up because we feel like they are very harsh, and then one day, unfortunately, something ticks off in your brain, and after that, it becomes that there's a chemical imbalance. What happened is that I'm not sleeping for 7 days, I'm not eating for 7 days, and before I know it, I'm actually diagnosed with something called bipolar disorder. So, diagnosed with bipolar at 17 years old, what actually happened was, I was going to poly. I studied very hard for my O-levels, but I got straight Bs and a D7. And because of that, I wasn't able to go into the only course I was interested in, which was a business course in any poly, doesn't matter where, but a particular business administration course. So when I was rejected, my dad panicked straight away, because for him it's like, I'm a Sec 2 dropout, I don't know how to guide you beyond this, you already made it to O-level, it's considered a big deal already. But I kind of stressed him during my O-levels exam. Instead of studying, I asked him, Dad, I sit down and have a table talk with my dad, I said, Dad, what's the point of drawing graphs? If you say that origin is the earth, this is X, this is Y, this is heaven, this is how you draw the graph, I at least know how to go to heaven, it's worth it. But I'm drawing graph, I'm learning all these equations, what am I going to do with it? Immediately he jammed, because he doesn't even know how to draw a graph. So immediately he started calling all his university friends. He said, how come she get all straight Bs, but then she cannot go to any poly course? It was because I wanted the top course in all poly. So when I didn't get anything, I was just left at home. So he thought, oh my God, what's next? I don't know how to guide her. So I ended up going to this course called Business Informatics, where there's half business and there's half IT. So the person actually said, hey, your results is good, but instead of taking a full business course, take half business and half IT. So when I went, I could understand whatever was in my business lectures, the tutorials and the practicals, but I completely couldn't understand the Java programming part. I can sit down there, I'll look at everything, I'll say binary maths. All my life I learned that numbers got 0 to 10. Suddenly only got 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. I didn't know when this was going to end. But I come to realize something in the end, much after I was kicked out of school, that life is really a lot about zeros and 1 more than all the other numbers. It's a lot of yes, it's a lot of no's, and after hearing all these yes and no's, right, that's how you decide where you go in your life. And if you take all the no people give you and you just sit down, right, you will confirm fall into depression, no doubt about it. But if you always don't stop at a no, and you find out what's the next door to make it a yes, right, you can actually move on and find some way to recover and get out of the negative state that you were in previously. Okay? But I cannot use that to get my diploma now, too late. And then after that, once you're diagnosed, at 17 years old as it is, right, teenagers, they already have identity crisis. Suddenly the doctor chops them and put, oh my God, you have mental illness. It totally crumbled your idea about following how to be like Taylor Swift or Alicia Keys or whatever. Now you are a mental patient, you have to look at all the mental examples. So straight goes to Beethoven and all the other Mozart and all those people who are dead and alive, and Michael Jackson. And I used to be a huge fan of Michael Jackson. So when I see him evolve into Wacko Jacko, I said, oh my God, I've really turned into my idol completely. But still, right, there is a lot of wisdom in people, even though they become sick. They don't completely become invalid, you know. But firstly, their first job is to look at themselves and not accept that they are invalid. They have to look past the symptoms of pain, and they have to see what they can still give back. Because what they can find in themselves, when everyone kind of feel like, oh, you are sick, you have to rest, everyone else will do everything else for you. When you don't give up, right, that's why it makes a lot of difference. So in this conference, when they said SPC is Singapore Patients Conference, I thought, hey, how appropriately aptly named, that it was patience. I kept spelling patience, P-A-T-I-E-N-C-E, instead of patients. So really, if you want to recover as a patient, you have to first be very patient. And also, the other example that somebody was bringing about the towel, and they said, what was the significance of the towel? I thought that was very meaningful as well. I think the first job you have to do is you don't throw in the towel. You don't give up, you hang in there. You wipe clean, you wash the towel, and you start back again, and eventually you feel clean enough to think well and do things well as well. Okay. So, seeking psychiatric treatment, I got support from family and friends. Purpose and success through work and recreation, giving back through volunteering. So my road to recovery, right, was that, you know, when you are diagnosed in a normal hospital, you are in the bed and you get through all the process, then after that you eventually go back home. You don't have to be treated in a way where you are being locked, your hands and legs are being tied. And when you go through that, right, you can really fall very depressed. But what I realized was whenever I was in hospital for depression, I cannot stay depressed for long. Because I actually see that a lot of patients are even more depressed than me. So I will end up behaving myself, getting out of these chains and restraints, and going and talking to the patients. And when I talk to these patients, and I cheer them up, and I make them happy, I myself feel happy. That a lot of times, they don't actually see me as a patient, they feel like I'm a volunteer going around to make people happy. And then I realized, if I keep doing this, I don't have to be depressed when I'm outside of hospital. So that's when I joined Club Heal, and I did art therapy, and I did activities like poetry sessions, drama sessions, and I made them very happy. And one particular lesson that was very precious was, there was this Chinese lady who was going around the wards, and she was asking everyone for 10 cents. And all the nurses said, don't give her any money. So I said, hey, what's actually happening? Why is she going around and asking people for money? So I actually heard her out a little bit, and she was Chinese speaking. All the other staff was non-Chinese speaking. And she said, 我要打电话我的姐姐. And she mean, I want to call my sister. 没有人知道我是进 hospital. So no one knows that she's in hospital. So when I actually explained this to one of the Filipino nurses, she said, oh, if that's the issue, okay, you can use the telephone from the desk and call. And after she informed her sister, she was behaving herself completely well. She didn't ask anyone else for money, and her sister visited her. So what I did was, I said, this is very meaningful. So I started going out, and I teach Malay in hospitals, in Ng Teng Fong, SGH, and a few other places. You know, and volunteering helps a lot because we understand our condition better, we motivate one another, and we find new strategies of coping. And it gives us a sense of purpose, and we learn to manage and improve our mental health. So these are some photos of me teaching at SGH, IMH, AH, Ng Teng Fong, and St. Andrew's Community Hospital, and this was in IMH as well. So what do patients need to heal better? Sharing, inspiring, teaching mental health professionals from my personal experience. Because if we are shy to go out there and talk about it, people who are suffering will just keep on suffering in silence, thinking that there's no place to go, there's no one to talk to, there's no one who understands. And if we actually live in a world where we feel that people don't understand us, we will live more depressed lives. But if another person understands our pain, right, two people having pain and understand each other, we can help each other to cope. And then it doesn't become so painful anymore. And I managed to do an art gallery, and Madam Halima was our guest of honor. And we managed to sell some paintings there for $1,000. I totally didn't expect that because the paintings was collecting dust at the side of my house. And my mom used to get very scared if I take out all the paint because immediately the fax machine, everything will have paint. She said, this is my work stuff, you stop painting like this. But yeah, we did another art gallery in Bukit Batok Library, so hopefully more efforts for educative purpose will move around the National Art Library scene. And a very short poem here. I found the guts to face my fears, to wipe my tears and tears of others, to stand up and be a voice to end stigma for mental illness. And I think that to wrap this whole day up, I would like to share something. There is a, okay, I think that's the next person's slide, right? Okay. So whatever that you guys have shared today, I found it really very meaningful. And I want to say that all of those words mean really a lot to me. So I'll share a poem that I wrote at 12 years old, which I remember today, which I think very appropriate for this audience. It's called Some Words. Some words make you think. Some words make you pink. Some words make you shock. How misinterpretation makes you sick. Some words form a question. Some words form an answer. Some words in the middle made you realize you're still unsure. Some words filled your head, and some words touched your heart. And some words will never reach you till this point where we must part. So let this be a beginning, let this be a start. Let this be when words will reach you, especially words that come from the heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Baizura. Truly, words that came from your heart today, which has touched many of us. Questions for Baizura down here? I love how everyone is taking a photo of your poem right now. Yeah, if you're going to be sharing it, okay, on social media, can you also please include Club Hue, right? Yes. Any questions for Baizura? Am I blocking? Some of you taking photos from this side of the Audi. Stay positive. You know, you have a fantastic positive mindset. The last 7 years you've achieved tremendous. You know, you've taught, you've volunteered as well. What is your next goal? I'm curious, what is your next goal?
If they need another Indian president, I'll go for.
All right, I like that one. Thank you very much. Let's end it on a note. Thank you very much, Baizura. Thank you. Thank you.